I'm fully aware that I tend to bore some of you with my emphasis on the spiritual, and especially what I've been talking about recently, about seasons and the season we are in. But I will keep on saying it because I know very well, I'm sure, one day many of you will thank me. You know, I'm informed. Yeah, I've not been able to confirm this yet. Shall I say I am unreliably informed that one of the regulars on this channel is in trouble. Why? For failing to realize what season we are in. You see, this nice lady works for the Brown Cheese Company in Limuru, which has been in the news a lot recently. Now, in case you've not heard, let me bring you up to speed. One innocent morning last week, some female workers dropped their unajua hizo vitu madada zetu tumia wakiona mwezi, yeah, that thing, they dropped it in the wrong bin instead of using the right bin for that purpose. They dropped it in the usual dustbin, and the managers of that company saw red, literally. And so what did they decide to do? They decided to parade all the female employees of that company in their office, allegedly, yeah, because the case is in court, and force them, allegedly, kutoa nguo zao zote. For what purpose? So that they could be able to get their suspect, allegedly, the person who committed this offense of putting that thing in the wrong bin. You know, many of us are very ignorant of the law. Yeah, we don't realize what the law says. Just like the colonialists during colonial times. And I always remember one poor mzungu in the 50s, a man called Mr. Poor, who used to live somewhere in Karen, who also made the mistake of not realizing that the season had changed. And so Mr. Poor did what many other mzungus had done in the past, in a different season, without realizing that the season had changed. You know the story. I've repeated it on this channel so many times. The way my late political lecturer used to repeat it to me so many times. What happened is that this poor illiterate African was barked at by Mr. Pool's dogs. And what did he do? He did what most people do. He picked up a stone and threw it towards the barking dogs on the other side of the fence. And Mr. Pool saw it, and he summoned, called this poor illiterate African. And this was during colonial times. The Mzungu was king. And the poor father of somebody, son of somebody, wife of somebody, innocently came, and he was told to wait. And Mr. Pool went inside his house, opened his safe, removed his firearm, came out, na akapiga huyu Mwafrika risasi, akamuua. And I'm sure Mr. Pool thought in his mind, this is normal. This is what we Wazungus do in Kenya, in the colony of Kenya. But the season had changed, and Mr. Pool was not aware. Now, if it is true that these female managers, yeah, at that cheese company in Limuru did what they're accused of doing, if it is true, they too did not realize that the season has changed. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. It has changed. And it is highly likely that so many other managers in Kenya have done the same thing in the past, and nothing has happened. But that was a different season. Unfortunately, in our country, there is a very heavy, powerful spirit that rules us, called the colonial spirit, ukoloni, oppressing people, in a colonial manner. Yani sisi wa Afrika, sisi wenyewe tunadhulumu wenzetu. We're oppressing our fellow Kenyans in a colonial manner. Indeed, we have been doing it for a long time and getting away with it. But the season has changed. The way the police treat peaceful demonstrators, peaceful processions. You know, processions are even different from demonstrations. The way police treat their fellow Kenyans is the perfect example of this. Tunadhulumu wenzetu. A poverty-stricken police officer, following orders, treats a fellow Kenyan in a very colonial manner. What was happening in Kenya in the 40s and 50s is happening in the year 2023. Oh boy. How things never change. How the more things change, the more they remain the same. Folks, the latest is that a handful of witnesses, we now have a handful of witnesses who are saying, let me just quote one. Nilisikia maaskari wakisema, wacha tummalize huyu, tumpige risasi tumuue. Alafu askari mwingine akasema, hapana, tumsamehe, lakini tumtandike. Now I've repeated this on this channel many times, and we really need to understand it. That no police officer can go rogue. It is very rare. All police officers follow orders. Okay? And therefore, we can be very sure that those police officers had speaking in that manner, had already been ordered, had already been given careful instructions on what to do with demonstrators. And we can very safely guess the motive. The officers were told, piga watu wachache risasi na waue. Okay? Alafu hao wengine wataogopa. Na hii maandamano itaisha. Kwa sababu kila binadamu anaogopa. Anahofia maisha yake. Kwa hivyo ukiwa mmoja wawili, hao wengine wataogopa, maandamano yataisha. In your opinion, has it worked? Because we've had several incidences. As we speak, there are people who are injured beyond repair. Their lives after Sabasaba will never be the same again. They've been maimed. Others have been shot in the pelvic area. You know what that means. And in case you still don't get it, let me spell it out. All these are crimes against humanity. ICC cases. And they don't even have to get to the ICC. It is possible to prosecute those cases right here in Kenya. Indeed, that would be the ideal stepping stone, so that if people play around with the judiciary the way they have been doing, using it as their personal tool, to do what they want, this can be the perfect groundwork for taking that case to the ICC at The Hague. But even as Kenyans brace themselves for Wednesday, when maandamano resume, I want to draw your attention to something super fascinating that is happening, and indeed something very confusing. CS internal Kithure Kindiki has been quoted over the weekend as telling Kenyans, don't worry, continue with your maandamano. My police force will defend you. They will protect you. Please ignore what Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, my boss, is saying. That is Kithure Kindiki, a professor in law. Hey, yes, the man is a professor in law. So he understands the law very well. Better than you and I. Okay? That is how he's talking, but note carefully that he is the minister in charge. The buck stops at his table over what I've just described earlier in this video. Yeah, about what policemen were heard saying. Clearly given instructions, clearly given orders. The responsibility for those orders given to cops falls squarely on the desk of Bwana Kithure Kindiki, who has now changed tune. Remember, not too long ago he threatened anybody who wants to demonstrate. He threatened Raila Odinga. But now he has changed the tune. Okay? Why? Now hold on to that thought for a minute. The other UDA people are talking very differently. Yeah, they're talking the usual matope we hear from UDA. Cleophas Shackles of Doom Malala, yeah, the man who penned a play some years back called Shackles of Doom, which was highlighting exactly what Malala is doing now. In fact, Malala would be the perfect villain in his own play, Shackles of Doom. Yeah. Right now, Malala says that they are now tired of Raila Odinga. He is not above the law. And they will arrest him. For what? They will arrest Raila. And Raila's crime is exercising his God-given rights, which are also enshrined very deeply into our 2010 Constitution. That's why they want to arrest Raila. Senator Samson Cherokee, who is emerging to be one of Ruto's chief spokespersons, he speaks seconds after something happens. He just opens his mouth and speaks. The good senator is posing the question, what is the worst that would happen if Raila Odinga was arrested? So, what is going on here? Yeah, one UDA person speaks like this, the others speak the opposite. What is going on here? Well, I'll tell you. And it is all in one very short English word. Panic. That is what is happening in the UDA camp. It would seem that some people within the UDA Kenya Kwanza government have realized, have finally opened up their eyes and seen the writing on the wall. Something that should have been very obvious. It is not possible. It has never been possible since the beginning of time for a ruler, no matter how powerful they are, no matter how strong and powerful their state machinery is, no matter how big an army they have, no matter how many guns they have, since the beginning of time, it has not been possible for a ruler to rule his people if those people do not want to be ruled by that ruler. Simple truth. When the people say no, we don't want you, that's the end of you. That's the way it works out. And it's just a matter of time. Some people within UDA seem to have finally smelt the coffee. Yeah, like Professor Kithure Kindiki. But it is too late. In my opinion, Raila Odinga is a very smart strategist. He saw this coming. He saw this coming a long time ago. And we have been blaming Raila. Many of us have been saying, Raila, you're too soft, you're too old. We Buddha umezeeka sana. You're too slow. This maandamano, we should just do it 24/7. every day of the week. Let's do it for a week. Let's bring everything in Kenya to a standstill for a week. Let's bring everything to Kenya to a standstill for a month. And then the UDA government will be gone. That has been the view of the vast majority of Kenyans. But Raila won't have it. What he has been doing is sets dates for maandamanos. And after that day is over, everybody goes back to where they came from. They go back to their work, they go back to whatever they were doing. Until the next time, maandamanos are called. And many people couldn't make any sense out of what was happening. They couldn't understand what Raila was doing. But I think now it is becoming very clear what was happening here. Remember, Raila Odinga is not William Samoei Ruto. No, he's not. The best example of this was the 2007 clashes, 2008, when it was very clear that if ODM and Raila Odinga and William Ruto kept up the pressure, they would topple Mwai Kibaki's government. They would take over. But Raila stood up and said, no. Why did he do that? Kwani Raila doesn't want power? Kwani Raila doesn't want to rule? Of course he does. But he looked at the human side of things. People were suffering. Kenyans were losing their lives. Raila wanted to bring it to a halt. Even if it meant he did not get what was rightfully his, because he won those elections in 2007. William Samoei Ruto was livid. Indeed, he left ODM shortly after that. And I believe this was a major contributing factor. In his opinion, Raila was not smart. Raila is not smart. He is not decisive enough. He is not brutal enough to be a leader. Actually, I don't agree. Somebody who cares like that is the one who is a perfect leader. And so fast forward to 2023. If it was somebody else in Raila's shoes, hii maneno ingekuwa imeisha zamani. But at what cost? What would have been the cost? That's the question. And so in 2023, Raila Odinga has spearheaded the maandamanos while caring about the ordinary Kenyan. The vast majority of Kenyans who live from hand to mouth. If you do maandamano for 2-3 days, that means his family will starve. He has to work every day to put food on the table. That is the plight of the vast majority of Kenyans. Everybody knows that. But I believe Raila also knew that it will take a bit longer to achieve the objective, but it will still be achieved. Okay? We will still get there, but we'll not get there in a vehicle. We'll get there walking slowly and resting and getting tired and walking slowly. But we'll still get there. Yeah, not as quickly as we would have wanted to, but we'll still get there. And we'll get there in better shape. I believe that was his strategy. And now it is beginning to unravel. As we speak, the evidence against the UDA Kenya Kwanza regime and their police force is overwhelming. Okay? Crimes against humanity. As we speak, all Kenyans, to a man, do not want this government. Why? Because this government has the label of Finance Bill 2023. It is no longer about Raila. It is about the people of Kenya and the high cost of living and a government that does not care for the ordinary Kenyan. That is the image, the feeling, the perception of the vast majority of Kenyans, including Kenyans deep in the Rift Valley and in the Kalenjin nation. I kid you not. And so, it is only a matter of time. Goodbye Kenya Kwanza government. It is only a matter of time. But you can confidently, very confidently say, goodbye UDA Kenya Kwanza government. Okay? It is a done deal. It is only that we'll need to wait for a little longer for the whole thing to unravel. But it should be very clear to all of us what has happened here already. And history is very predictably repeating itself. Because even as the writing is on the wall, there are many people who still can't see it. Just like shortly before the French Revolution, there was a queen who was very uncaring. And so the people labeled a story on her, which was not true, but it has stuck through history. They said that what this queen said, she didn't actually say it, but they said what this uncaring queen said was, if the people can't find bread to eat, why don't they eat cakes instead? Which illustrated a complete lack of understanding of the situation. Because cakes are more expensive than bread. Much more expensive. And so in Kenya today we have many queens of the French Revolution. People who are saying arrest Raila. And Raila is not really the issue. Raila is irrelevant. That's not the issue. That's not the reason why 99.9% of Kenyans are complaining. Minus, of course, the ones who are eating from the system. The ones who are involved in corruption. The ones who have become billionaires overnight as a result of the Kenya Kwisha government coming into power. That's the minority who are happy with this government. Lakini hawana kura, hao ni watu wachache sana. The present day queens of the French Revolution who are saying Kenyans should get back to work. The ones who are saying this is a Luo thing. It is the Luos causing trouble. It is Raila Odinga causing trouble. Those who are saying Chris Kumekucha is talking rubbish about seasons. Hii season ni nini? Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. It is impossible. It is unrealistic to expect William Ruto to leave power anytime soon. Least of all before the year 2027. They are still talking like that. And yet the hasira amongst Kenyans is climbing. And they are still talking nonsense. They are still saying people should look for cake to eat if they cannot find bread. I pity them. Now I'm under a lot of pressure to extend the Sabasaba offer of only $4.99 for a whole year subscription to my weekly intelligence briefings, only $4.99, or Kenya shillings 499. And so I have bulked, for the next 48 hours strictly, no more extensions. You will be able to take advantage of this amazing Sabasaba offer. The spirit of Sabasaba is very heavy in a country called Kenya, even as we brace ourselves for Wednesday and what that Wednesday may bring. So for the next 48 hours strictly, you can even get hold of my sets of videos, which are going to be invaluable at this time. How to survive and indeed how to prosper in a dead economy like the one we have facing us right now. I'm sure you've been seeing details flashing on your screen about this offer. Take advantage of it. Please act right away. The clock is already ticking. Before Wednesday, this offer will be gone. Now, just a little wisdom for all of us. Please be careful. And whatever you do, always try your best to make sure that what you do is something that will stand the test of time. And never forget, the season has changed. Oh yes, it has changed. That is very important, never to forget. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.